people, like, because I networked with so many people like Mir, like Ish, like Ant, that let me kind of experiment too. Like, I was experimenting with my sound as well as theirs, taking risks. Like, all right, well, we could do that. I was never scared to get thrown into the hot seat. Like, even my first engineering job when I was working at Grindhouse, I didn't really know what I was doing for real, but I was good. You know what I mean? Because at that time, I had took 2 years before that and was just learning how to do things on my computer, and then figured out, well, all right, well, this kind of sounds good. And then what I've learned was that it sound better than guys that went to school. So, you know what I mean? Like, it was because I took basically like 2 years, didn't go out, made sacrifices of, like, while my friends were going out and spending money on shoes and getting nice clothes, I was like, fuck that. I'm going to go buy this laptop. I'm going to buy this mic. My mom helped me out with a couple things. And I was just like, we're just going to figure it out right here. We're going to figure it out here, and we're just going to lock in. And I'm able to provide for myself off of my passion. And that's by the grace of God and believing in myself first. So I say all that to say it's not one thing, it's multiple things, but first you have to believe in yourself wholeheartedly. Like, you got to be delusional. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, it's not going to work. Oh, this is and that. You know, it's like young guys are just working. This is a young guy sport. Okay, that's nice. But they can't do what I can do. You know what I mean? And I project that. I don't have to say it. It's not on you. It's in you.
It is This Side of Jersey podcast, the #1 podcast in the world, stamped. I am your host. My name is Steven. I go by Ugly Steven on Instagram. We want to shout out iRobinson03, Vintage Sense behind the camera, and OGBs. If you are watching on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe at TSOJ Podcast. If you are watching on or listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, be sure to like, download, follow, the whole shebang. All right? Oh, man. This episode today, we are, first of all, before we get into this person's achievements, we should just talk about how accommodating they've been since our arrival. No, man, our next guest we are very, very, very excited for. But before we get into that, we got to get into our layup lines, okay? So for those who do not know, layup lines is a segment where we like to get our guests loose a little bit. So we start by asking them a bunch of this or that questions, and they need to answer in the allotted time.
All right.
All right. So.
Pressure.
You have 24 seconds. I take pride in these questions. I'm not going to lie. Are you ready? Good sir.
Yes.
Wait, make sure I could be. All right, bet. All right, here we go. Late night sessions or during the day sessions?
During the day.
Doing a hook for someone or engineering for someone?
Doing a hook.
Amber or Streets Keep Calling?
Amber.
Philly studio or Jersey studio?
Jersey.
Tory Lanez or Black?
Black.
City Girl Summer or Your Mind?
City Girl Summer.
2 platinum albums and a Grammy or 1 diamond album?
1 diamond.
Paid to write music or paid to engineer?
Paid to write music.
Pharrell or Kanye?
Kanye.
And there it is.
Oh, that was a disgusting last question.
You feel me? You said Kanye? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I said Kanye, but like I was torn.
Are you that big on Pharrell?
Yeah.
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 Are you that big on Pharrell's beats, or are you just big on Pharrell
as a whole? Yeah. Writing.
So all right. So
producing.
let's put it like this: producing wise,
like
Pharrell or Kanye?
Producing wise?
Yes.
Kanye.
I think that's what I meant. I should have been more specific. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
I think I should say that.
Yeah.
Listen, man, our next guest, he has opinions. I have another question I'm just going to put into the interview questions. That was a this or that question, but I want to know. Our next guest, man, he is a singer. He is a songwriter. He is a producer. He is an engineer. You have heard his work on Mir Fontane's latest album, Clowns Don't Cry. Almost cover to cover, that is, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kenif Muse is here.
Thank you for
Sir.
having me.
How you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling great. I woke up today.
Yes, sir. You said that when we met outside. You said that. You were like,
yeah.
You
I was
like,
always taught you got to be grateful for the little things because they're usually the ones that matter the most.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So I'm blessed. I woke up.
That's fire, bro.
Yep.
That's fire. And as I said before, thank you for being as accommodating as you were.
Thank you guys for coming through.
We're in a crazy but exciting situation, Tay and I. But it's just a lot going on. So we just appreciate, you know what I'm saying, the flexibility.
No problem.
But let's get started, bro, because I'm very excited. I got a lot of questions to get into. For those who do not know, let's try to start at basics.
Okay.
Who is Kenif Muse? How do we describe him? You wear a lot of hats. Let's start there, right? So you can see where someone might know you as like, oh, I've heard him. He's a singer because I've heard him on the song. And somebody can be like, oh, he's a producer because I've seen his name in the credits, right? Like, so how do we get the best overview of Kenif Muse?
I care about the craft first. Music. Just if I wasn't getting paid to do it, I would still be happy. This is something that I would do regardless, whether I'm getting paid or I'm just doing it for fun. I take the creative process serious. So whether it's me accommodating people in the studio space, helping people with ideas, doing my own stuff, like I said, I'm a creative. You know what I mean? Like all the way down to like even doing my own videos and coming up with like the concept for my own videos and stuff like that. That's all me. So that's like every facet of the creative process I'm a part of.
And I wanna talk a little bit about or start off with your story just because I want to get into the other stuff. But I want to start off with your story because even as we were coming in today, you were talking about how you spent so much time in a studio in Philadelphia, right? So you were engineering and recording, obviously, for yourself, I guess, in the studio. And you spent a long time there.
Yeah.
And it was because the first thing that came to my mind when you texted me the address for us to meet here was I was like, I've been to your studio in Philly. So then I was like, well, I guess he got a new studio in Jersey. I guess he's not in Philly anymore.
Right.
And then coming in and hearing you talk about how like you were there for like 6 or 7 years, you said, and like now you finally came back to Jersey. Like talk about just like the journey, kind of like starting that journey, right? And then I guess throughout the interview we'll kind of land at the end.
So the journey actually started here at my mom's crib.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Shout out Dukes.
Shout out Dukes. Very, very supportive mother. I've had the most support has always come from my mom. It's always been me and her since I was a kid growing up. So it started in her house. I was just recording people, friends from around the area and stuff like that. And then one of my friends at the time found this studio in Philadelphia called Grindhouse Studio. And I worked there for like 2 to 3 years. From there, I transitioned into my own space. That was the studio you saw on 6th and Girard. You came to in 6th and Girard. And then it's just this story kind of tells itself because it's like I was so busy living in that moment that 7 years didn't even feel like 7 years. You know what I mean? Like I have so many different friends that do music, so like I was helping them out with their stuff, and one thing leads into another. That's actually how I met Mir. One of my friends named Aunt Beal. I don't know if you know who Aunt Beal is.
I do actually. Yeah,
Me and Aunt go back like from the beginning, from when I was engineering people out of my crib. Okay. So Aunt, I was working with Aunt around the time he started working with Charlie. I engineered a couple of the songs that he first started doing with Charlie. From there, he already knew Ish. Okay. Ish had a song called Mary Jane.
Shout out Ish.
Shout out Ish, where Mir was featured on the song as well. And at the time, I was dabbling in video. Me and Ant were. And we shot the Mary Jane video. And that's how I met Ish. So, like, all these different things were happening around that time. It's just like one after the other. Then, you know what I mean? I started working with Mir, and then that just, you know what I mean? That I worked on up till I mean, up to this point, I worked on almost every single album of his. So it's like one thing after the other. It's like you're so focused on the path that you don't even realize how much time has actually gone by.
Are you one of those people who lives by the quote of like falling in love with the journey rather than the destination?
Yeah,
Have you read
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
you're saying that kind of feels like you're just kind of like going through the motions, and like all the good that's coming with it, you're kind of taking the good and the bad, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's just like,
absolutely.
this is part of the journey, I guess. And I feel like when you have that mindset, you'll never stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about that earlier, like the money, like you'll always kind of be chasing something, right? But like if you, I guess, care about what you're doing, yeah, like it'll manifest itself. Like,
yeah,
these things
just
will
everything.
happen.
I feel
Yeah.
like everything falls into place. Like it's not so much even the destination, because the destination might change. You know what I mean? So that's why it's kind of one of those things where I like to live in the moment
Yeah.
versus trying to like, oh yeah, it's going to happen a year from now, because a year from now might be 2 months from now.
I want to backtrack you and ask if you had that same mindset when you moved to the studio to do your own, when you moved to your own space. So when you, like you said, you were in Grindhouse for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And then you transitioned into your own space, right? Like, obviously, I think that alone is a monumental jump, right?
Leaving there, I was going to work for someone else, and then that fell through.
Okay.
And it was a I want to say at the time, like looking back at it now, it was one of those things where I was a little too prideful to go back to the space that I was working at, because it was one of those things like, well, I kind of don't like somebody being in control of whether or not I can record and bring in clients and stuff like that. It had nothing to do with anyone else but myself. So at that point, this girl that I was dating, she found that spot for me. Like, she was the one that made the call. She's like, I was like, it looks kind of small, because I just came out of a big space. Like, Grindhouse is a really big studio. So I was like, it looks small. I'm like, nah, it needs to be bigger, and it needs this, and it needs this. You know, when you aspire to do something, you want the best. You know what I mean? Because you look at what those people are doing on the level that you want to be on. So I'm like, no, I needs to be big and this and that. And it was a life lesson. You know what I mean? You got to do what you got. So we went to the space, and you know what I mean? I got there. I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad. It's at the third. And
That's where it starts. It's like,
and then my
it's not
mom being
that
like
bad.
super encouraging. She came by the spot, and like, I'm big on my mom giving me her blessing, because she's always provided a lane where I could express myself. So like, if she feels as though like I'm taking a chance, she'll play devil's advocate, so I don't have those negative thoughts, and tell me like, well, you know, this could happen and this can happen. But when she came there, she was like, oh no, I like it. Like, wow. You know what I mean? And I felt as though, because of the area at the time too, she was like, but you know, you got to be careful, this is and that, because that was when they were first gentrifying the area and everything like that. She was like, just be careful, like this, that, and the third. We'll put up cameras and everything like that, but I think you could do it. You can do it. And I was so scared, I remember at the time, because it was like, this is just me now. And I never looked back. It worked.
That's fire,
You know?
bro. That's fire. So, all right. So, I want to talk a little bit, just because you don't rap. You're very heavy on melodies, very heavy on R&B. So in my head, let me ask you this as an artist first. Is it offensive when somebody says, you remind me of, or like, is that offensive? Should I not say that?
No,
Okay.
it's their opinion.
Like, you remind me of this person, right?
Okay.
Okay, hear me out. Tell me if you like this. I think you remind me of Tory Lanez, Black, Brent Faiyaz.
I'm not mad at that.
You're not mad at that? Okay, that's a good
Not at
lineup.
all.
You can live with that lineup.
I can live with it.
Okay,
I can
okay.
live with it.
If you had to adjust that lineup some way, what names would go and what names would stay?
You said Tory Lanez,
I said Tory Lanez
Brent Faiyaz,
and Black.
and Black. I think the only one out of them that produces would be Black. I think Black produces. I'm not too sure.
He does.
I don't know if Brent Faiyaz produces. I know Tory Lanez is hands-on.
Yeah.
So who would I would probably add a producer on there, and I'm trying to think of whose production is similar to mine's that also raps. Like a Russ. You can put me in the lane with Russ.
Oh, you like Russ.
Because he's like, I like his music. I like his message more.
Word.
Respectfully.
Word.
You know what I mean?
Word.
So I feel like Russ, I put Russ in there because he also produces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. I'm very big on Russ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very big on Russ. But I noticed you're trying to put the producer element into it. Are you more happy producing than you are singing?
I feel like they go hand in hand only because I started producing and engineering because I didn't like how things sound. Like when I was getting production and relying on other people for my music.
Yeah.
To the point where I just like, I'm just gonna figure this out on my own. And then so I feel like even when like if I'm making beats for someone else, I still hear melodies and stuff like that. So I feel like they just go hand in hand. If I'm writing lyrics, I know what the beat is gonna sound like because sometimes I'll write without a beat. So I feel like they go hand in hand. I can't have one without the other.
I have a question. Does anybody ever come to your studio and they need a hook or they need like something to soften the song a little? They need like a right. Are you the one saying you need this and I'm gonna do it, or are you waiting for them to ask like?
It depends on the artist.
Okay.
It depends on the artist.
Okay. So it's like a relationship kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
you learn over time, engineering and producing over time what you can and cannot say to an artist that throws their creative process off. It's not so much like, I don't want to. It's not an ego thing. It's more or less like, I don't want to disrupt what you got going on. I might be able to tell you later on. So it depends. It all depends. But I do. There are times I do that with a lot of artists. Yeah. A lot of artists that I work with now are super open.
Has anyone ever told you no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to which your response is?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's like a respect thing. You know what I mean? You learn over time that person, what makes them tick. So you know what to say to have them think, oh well maybe it'll work. Or let me try it. And then we'll go back to the other version and then my version and then my version usually wins.
Well, all right, I'm a
because it's like me it's me wanting the best version of them, so it's not coming from a place of malice. It's like, yo, try this or do it. I think you should do it this way because I know you can, and that's like it's like a coaching thing.
And and it sounds like that would make. It sounds like that's the better transition of you being the producer and then adding the vocals, than being the singer and then trying to change the production. Does that make sense? It sounds like that would be the because if you're coming in from a producer, I guess, standpoint, you're already kind of just into the sonics of how it sounds. So like then you could say like, oh, you need some background vocals.
Even
like,
good. You find like even really good singers that come in and write like they'll write melodies like the harmonies. Yeah. They think that's why I say it goes together because like they'll even think of melodies and ways to say things that make the delivery different. So it's like when you have an artist that thinks that way, it opens a lot of more creativity to like the whole project. But yeah.
So what is bad? What are your pet peeves from artists that come to the studio and you're playing engineer?
And this is not a shot at anyone.
Because
somebody's
gonna feel targeted.
Somebody's gonna get offended.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it's coming from a good place. I don't have these problems anymore because the majority of the people that I record, I've had relationships with that extend past 5 years. Right. I don't think there's anybody that I record, maybe like one or two people that I just met. Yeah. But I would say in my early years, entourages, not even the artist. It's never been. I think maybe one time I've had a problem with an artist. I wouldn't even say a problem. It would just be like something I don't like. But it would be that, like when they bring multiple people that aren't contributing to the music. There's a time and a place for it. Like if you're making party records and stuff like that, where you do need the energy of the room. Yeah. But like, I come in and put this time in. This is like me going to the gym with you to help you train, and you bring like 7 people that don't want to exercise. They just sitting there, you know? And then you add the element of like drinking and smoking, and then it's like, bro, it's like being at a party sober and you just don't know anybody there. Wow. So it would be that and editing songs, like doing the radio edits and taking curse words out. I fucking hate it. It's one of my
people do that often? Is that still a thing?
Yeah. Mir has a whole edited version of his album.
You know what's funny? It's funny that you say that. Maybe you can comment on this. I saw something on the internet, and this guy was saying you need 8 versions of your song, every song that you put out. And he was going through like, you need the radio cut one, you need the one that's like just the lyrics, no audio, you need the one that's just the audio, no lyrics, you need the one that's gonna whatever. He was going through all these different versions. And he was saying you're not serious about your craft if you don't have 8 versions of your song. And I was like, God, that sounds like a lot of cutting for like one song. Like,
music is subjective, so I don't feel like there's a need for anything. For commercial purposes, it's good to have. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if you got to send stuff to DJs, if you get some sync licensing stuff, you don't want to have to depend on the engineer to have to get those things to you, because I might be busy. Right. But usually working with people, I usually try to accommodate everyone in a timely fashion. But yeah, it's good to have those different versions, but I don't think it's like you need it. Like it's the end all be all if you don't have it. It's just you might have to wait for those things if you do need them eventually. So it's good to have, once you track and make the final version of a song, to have those different things.
Is it more likely that your song gets synced, or is it more likely that your song blows up? Like
synced.
Really?
Then it blows up? Yeah. You talking about for me personally, or just in general?
Like
sync is probably easier.
Really?
Easier. I mean, now you have TikTok, so TikTok changed the game as far as being able to be able to access all these different people all over. You don't really need the label, but like you can get sync licensing a lot easier. You know what I mean? Than the song actually blowing up and going viral and stuff like that. Yeah.
I guess Vince Staples is where I got this from, obviously, because he was saying how like he aims when he makes his albums now just to have, he aims for syncs more than like sales, basically. And he was like, if you get 2 songs on your album synced to like a video game or a commercial or whatever the case, he was like, you'll do better than these people that are trying to like chart on Billboard, is what he said. And I was like, wow.
Because nobody else is cutting into that bag.
Yeah. Shout out to Ish, though. Ish did. You know why? Because Ish said for Sad Boy Radio, he said he wanted it to be a song that sounded like when you create a player on Madden.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, as soon as he said that, I was like, wow. Like, that literally could be in Madden.
Shout out to Ish,
shout out to Ish, man. Shout out to Ish.
Dog.
Yeah.
That's my dog.
Man, speaking of Ish, man, let's talk about Ish. Let's chat about Ish.
Yeah, let's say all the bad things.
Yeah, man, that guy. This fucking guy, man. Nah. Obviously, like I said, you have a really close relationship with him. Talk about just working with him. Some of your favorite records with him, right? Just talk about.
Ish is my guy, man. Outside of the studio, inside the studio, he's the same. He's one of those people where I could actually say he's the same person. Whether it be on those records, when you meet him in person, if he's around a crowd of people, he's the same person. He will never change just because other people are around. And that's like one of the things that I love about that guy. You know what I mean? Super creative, got a pen game, can rap his ass off, and is very, very, very serious when it comes down to like us doing, like working on music. And that's something that I really like. Like not to be like we're in here just hammering in songs, but like that's the time that we're like we setting everything up, we're getting everything right. And he has a vision for what he wants to do and wants to accomplish. One of the things that that I do like working with Ish is he lets me do me. Like it's never just like it's one of those things where he's constantly asking me, well, what do you think? He trusts me as far as where we go sonically and things like that. And I feel like you can hear it on a lot of records. I can't really pinpoint one song because I like so many of them. what I will say is if we're gonna go, I can do albums versus songs.
Okay, yeah.
We All We Got
let's
is
talk.
my favorite album.
Okay.
Because even like before we even thought about putting it out, when we were getting all the songs together, it was a transitional period. Granted, there was some other things that went on. Rest in peace, Jose.
Rest in peace.
But even before that, I saw the change in Ish as an artist. Like, he got more confident in his raps and what he wanted to do sonically and things like that. And you can hear it on those records. So all those records were cut before we, you know what I mean? A lot of things happened. So like, you could hear it on there, and it just, you know what I mean? I feel like that pushed him more into his own versus just the guy that's on South Side. You know what I mean? It was just like Ish was on his own. This was Ish in his whole element. You know what I mean? And now we're working on this project now. I think I don't think I was supposed to say that, but we are working on his album now. So I'm excited about that.
Time kind of said that. Like, I think
Yeah,
that we kind of
the buying time.
Bro, speaking of buying time, I said that Red Receipts was one of my favorite songs on Buying Time. And he said that song is like forever years old.
That shit is old.
That's what he said.
That shit is old. I didn't want it on the project.
That's great.
And now he's gonna grind me up about that because I was like, yo, he can even post the screenshots of the conversation. I'm like, bro, I don't really want that up. I don't like it because it sounds dated to me as far as me. Not him.
Yeah, right.
But me.
Right.
And then on top of that, because I wasn't about to re-record my vocals, but I was sick when I recorded my verse. That was from the South Side album. So we did all those songs in like, I think 2 to 3 days. And during the course of that session, I got sick. So it was like, I didn't want to record my verse. And then I laid my verse, I mixed it, and then we put it out, and that was supposed to be it. And
it was gone after that.
It was gone. I didn't have to think about it no more. But shout out to Ish. That was one of the times that I trusted him more than I trusted myself. I'm like, whatever, we'll put it out.
Did he consult with you before that, or it just showed up?
Yeah,
like, okay.
He always talks to me. Like, I know if I really pressed him about it, he wouldn't have put it out, but or at least took my verse off. But I was just like, all right, fuck it, we'll put it out. And then a lot of people liked it.
Bro,
so
I love that song, bro. That and Alpaca Freestyle, I think.
Alpaca Freestyle's my shit.
He went stupid on that drum.
Alpaca Freestyle's my shit.
Listen, man, you got your hands in a lot of music of Jersey. A lot of Jersey music you have your name in. One of which we mentioned earlier, the Mir Fontane.
Shout out to Mir.
Shout out Mir Fontane, man.
My dog.
Tay, man, I always say it because I agree. Tay says this is the album of the year, maybe number 2, maybe runner-up, but against commercial albums, right? I think Gunna is his number 1, right?
I'm not mad at that.
Bro, I feel very similarly, bro.
Thank you.
You asked us
I
how we
appreciate
felt,
y'all.
you know what I'm saying? And we felt musically that this was his best album, I thought. I thought similar to how... Because I also share your opinion about Ish and the We All We Got album.
Okay.
Like, I felt like that was when that came out, I literally have a screenshot of Chris. I texted Chris.
Right.
And I was like, bro, I feel like he stepped into another, like, element.
Right.
He leveled, it's a clear level up right here. Like, you feel me?
Uh-huh.
And I felt similarly about this album with Mir. It felt very complete. It felt very confident. It felt, the most genuine, I think. His content has always been genuine, but this album felt the most genuine. So yeah. Talk about your role in the album, right? How you've seen it kind of come together. How proud you are of it.
I'm very proud of it. I'm glad that everybody thinks highly of the album, like the reception. Everybody's told me that they really like this album, and they put it up there with either it's better than his other albums or it's up there with his top 3 albums, and I'm happy about that. Going into this, it was one of those things where I feel as though that he was able to be vulnerable in a place Diddy usually touches on albums. Like he's vulnerable on the majority of his albums, but I think this one came from like a man's perspective versus him being a younger man. Now he's in his own, you know what I mean? He's gone through a lot of life-changing things and he's able to express himself in a different light. And I think that's what everybody's seeing. And his fans were able to grow up with him in this album as well. You know what I mean? Going into this, it was I feel like this was the most fun that I had out of all the albums. He also let me do me on a lot of the songs I produced and co-produced all but one song. And that was the song that Mike Zombie produced.
Shout out Zombie.
Shout out Zombie.
We're manifesting an interview with him too.
We gotta get him with y'all, man. Yeah. But yeah, this was the most fun that I actually had, and I feel the same. I feel like he feels probably the same way, just in conversation with him, because it was one of those things where it was like, fuck what everybody else got to say about what you're doing. Like we're just gonna make something that we think is cool, and with what we think is dope, and it felt like 2016. You know what I mean? It felt like when we first met each other and it was just us doing music. It really wasn't like, yo, we think this is hot and we're just going to put it out. And if people fuck with it, then they fuck with it. If they don't, then we on to the next thing. And that was one of those things with this album. And I feel like he trusted me more than, not that he doesn't trust me, because I mean, obviously we've been working together for so long. But as far as the production aspect of things, it was kind of like me doing me, him doing him, and it just worked. You know what I mean? It really wasn't, we didn't overthink things. It was just, we're just going to do it. And if people like it, they like it and they fuck with it.
How does it work? How does approaching Kenif Muse for an album, how does that happen? Is it, they come to you with the idea and you have to believe in it first? Is it, they have a series of songs and they're like, I kind of want to put this on an EP, and then they kind of ask you to like jazz it up? Like, how does it work when someone says, Kenif, I want you to produce and engineer my album?
It all depends. Every artist, I treat every artist different. Only because their creative process is different. With Mir, me and him, especially with this album, it was like a lot of back and forth stuff, because he usually comes with his own ideas. Like he knows what he wants to do. He has an idea for what it's going to sound like, and then what I'll do is do what he wants to accomplish with my twist on it. And then we might do it vice versa. I might come up with an idea and be like, yo, you should try this, or the album is missing this kind of record, or this is missing this, and then he'll do it his way. Some artists I'll come with the beats, or I'll help write songs. Every artist is different. I can't really just say it's just this clean cut way, because it's art. You know what I mean? You're not gonna get the same result doing the same things with other people.
I don't want to say, are you the kind of producer, or is this just like a normal thing that producers send beat packs? It's like a normal, like
I don't send
you don't send beat.
packs.
Okay.
No.
Can I ask why? You kind of,
unless it's like I do send beat packs. I lied. I do send beat packs if it's an artist that I've already worked with.
So Mir gets beat packs.
Not really.
Okay.
It depends. It's subjective, because like me and him, like if I've sent him beats in the past. Matter of fact, I'll say it like this: the only beat that I've ever sent to Mir that he's actually used for an album is Down by the River. And even Down by the River wasn't the same. The same beat that I sent him wasn't the final product. It sounds completely different. I think the only thing that's the same on Down by the River is the drums. Like, kind of.
Bro, Down by the River sounds different. I may or may not know what you're talking about. Down by the River sounded different. I don't remember if, like, maybe you remember this, I don't know. I feel like it came out like twice.
Oh, okay, so no.
And like the second one sounded mad different than the first one.
The first version was the version with the sample on it.
Okay.
The second version was me replaying everything for You know what I mean?
Okay.
For licensing purposes.
Yeah.
But the original beat that I actually gave to Mir didn't even sound like either version that you've heard. It had a completely different sound. It wasn't as soulful as it was. It sounded more trappy because the drums are actually trap drums. And I think that's the only beat that I might be wrong, but I think that's the only beat that I actually sent to Mir that he used for an album. I've sent him other beats in the past, but they've never stuck. You know what I mean? It doesn't have that, like I said, every artist is different, me working with them. So like, it's more or less us feeling the energy together. Like these records come together in the studio as far as the final product. He might come with an idea of how he wants it to sound. He might even have recorded it over other drums or something like that and then bring it to me and then we completely change it. But with Ish, I've sent beats to Ish. I've sent beats. There's a couple artists that I've sent beats to and it's stuck.
Is it an ego thing?
No.
Why'd you say no when I said when I asked you the first time?
Well, because the title of beat packs just seems so lifeless to me. Like, I'm gonna send you some beat packs. Like it's like because there's a stigma of sending out beat packs and like not even in like some of the people that I worked with where you send, like I might send you beats and then I might send this man beats and they're the same beats and then you go ahead and get ready to put this song out and this artist has a whole song to it and now he don't like the version that I might have to remake to that beat because I sent it to both of y'all. Now don't get me wrong, when you're producing in, I don't knock it because a lot of producers will produce a lot of beats and then just send them out to everywhere and wherever sticks. That's the name of the game. But in my opinion, I don't like to do that. I just if I make a beat for someone, I'm not coming back to that. Like that's your beat. You don't have to worry about me going and giving that or playing it back for someone else. I don't operate like that.
It seems like there's more intention behind not doing beat packs. Like your beats have more intention. Like you put more effort and like thought and like direction into it rather than like I made this beat. Everybody want it?
I don't know. I feel like every time you make, it's like when I know a lot of rap artists or just artists in general can agree with this. It's like every time you do something like a song or you make a beat or you guys doing this, you're giving a piece of yourself every time. And I feel like within the business of doing a bunch of work, you kind of lose sight of that. It kind of commercializes it and it makes it lifeless. It's like, not to say that I can't give, because I know certain producers do that. Like I know like the Jay-Z documentary where he played back a song that ended up going to Ludacris when he was playing records for Jay-Z. So I mean, it happens where you play records for people. But I feel like in that element, you're playing those records for them. So it's like you feeling the energy, like you know if it's going to be a hit or not, like you know if it's going to stick or not. Versus me sending it to you, I'm not in the room when you're recording it. I don't know. I don't. To each his own. I don't knock it, but I can't do it. I can't do it.
All right. So can I come to you as an artist? Can I come to you? Right. I'm Hi, Kenneth. My name is. I go by Lil Ranger. I'd appreciate if you didn't laugh at my stage name. I'm
you had to think about your rap name. That's what I'm laughing at. It's like you were unsure about you being a ranger.
Yeah,
and a little one at that.
I'm Lil Ranger. I've heard a lot about your work. And I'm looking for a R&B song. I'm looking for an R&B song about love.
Before we even get that far, I have to have heard your music. I don't work with artists unless I like it.
All right, wait, here's what I was getting at though. What I was getting at was, are you able to just like, yo, I want to make an R&B track. Mm-hmm. And you kind of can start playing with chords and like beats and you can kind of get it there? Or are you kind of like pulling from a library of kind of like R&B beats that you've already played with and then you're kind of just tweaking them from there?
It depends on the vibe, but okay. I can do both.
Okay.
you usually know, like, I try to have a conversation with artists when they come in, even if it's like for 5 minutes while I'm setting everything up, just to see where their head is at. It might be a session where they just came with all their beats and I'm just tracking, recording stuff, or they might have come to me like Lil Ranger, and you know what I mean. They have an R&B track that they want to work on, and I might have it. Just so happens that I just made a beat. Like, for example, I don't know if you know who Lena L is, the kid with the gift from Philly.
I don't know.
You got to check her out, bro.
Fire.
Yeah,
Fire.
that's my dog. She's from Philly.
Tough.
I worked on her last EP that she just dropped, and me and her work that way. Like, I might have beats already made. I might make a beat to her acapella vocals. It was a song on her EP that was the intro to her EP. I just made the beat right before she pulled up. And she just came in and we were talking for a little bit, and then she just rapped. She's like, "Yo, I got this rap." She started rapping it to me, and I'm like, "Yo, that's crazy. I feel like it'll go with this." I play it, and it just stuck. That's tough. So like, that's why I said I'm a go with the flow kind of guy. I really listen.
Based on hearing you say that, I don't want a fucking producer who can't make it on spot. Now that you said that, bro, you gave me some perspective. Nah, bro. Step your fucking game up. Step your fucking game up then. Because if I'm an artist, I don't know how to bring that shit to life. Like, if I'm a new dude, right? Like, let's say I'm dead serious, bro. I just don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like, because there is that, right? Like, I really do want to make music. I just don't know where to, like, I don't know how to do any of this shit. You feel me?
Right.
I feel like if I walk into a studio and I say, I need an R&B record that I'm trying to get to radio.
Right.
I want you to know what fucking chords I'm gonna need and what drums I'm gonna need and
right.
I want you to be able to do that. And if you can't, you feel me?
Yeah, no,
you feel me though, right?
No, you basically talking like Lil Wayne. You gotta have clips, ammo.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be ready.
We're related. You
and Lil Wayne?
Yeah,
like first cousins, related. Fourth, fifth.
It's up there. Bro, speaking of you producing, bro, somebody that I'm very proud of for getting their first producer credits is Mr. Everybody Knows Chris.
Oh, my dog.
Yeah, man. Shout out Chris, bro. Shout him out, man.
Shout
talk
out
about
Chris.
working with Chris on that record, bro. How was that?
So hold on, because all the records, it's just like I'm trying to remember, because we worked on multiple records that day. But what I will say is
it Me Too? Is it Me Too?
Yeah, it's Me Too.
Yeah.
So Chris came to the studio with Mir, and he was like, "Yo, I got an idea for like the tempo of the song and like elements that we should use for this song." And I don't know. I think Mir already laid the vocals to it, or he might not have. But what I will say is, yeah, Chris came up with the idea as far as like the timing of the record and the percussiveness of it. So he came with his A game that day and was just like, "Yo, this is I think you should put this in there." And I just went into town and we moved a couple things around on the beat, and it was just hot. Like,
that's tough, bro.
My man got his first producer's credit, man. He has a lot of ideas. Like, don't sleep on Chris, man.
Bro, Chris is one of my best friends, bro. And I feel like I start to love a lot of the people around Chris because I see what they do for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I love Chris, and then people love Chris. So then when I see people doing things like that for him for the first time, I'm like, wow, like, that's a good person. Like, I like that person.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that he was on the producer credits with you, I was like, bro, that's phenomenal. Like, that's
because he provides. I feel as though he's one of those people where you can appreciate Mir's entourage, not to put him in an entourage, so to speak, but like if you were to say the people that are around Mir, he's one of those people that like his energy, you feel it if it's missed. If it's not in the room, you might have to hit Chris up. Because Chris, he brings really good energy, and I feel like that's super important when you're in the creative process. Because he was around for the majority of the album. So it's even more so for Me Too. That's why he got those producer credits, because he really helped produce the record. Whether it be coming up with the concept for the percussive parts of the song itself, and also bringing in that energy where you can hear it on the record. Shout out to Chris though.
Shout out to Chris, man. So proud of him, bro. Shout out to Chris.
So proud of him.
Listen, bro. Before we started rolling the cameras, we were talking about a really big topic in my eyes and Tay's eyes as well. The state of New Jersey, bro. The state of New Jersey. Obviously, we don't have a lot of what the major cities have in terms of media success, right, or resources. However, I was talking to this one guy one time, and he was from New Jersey, but he was a traveling saxophone player.
Okay.
And he had been to like Chicago and, you know, all these places. And he said something that he sees in other places that is not this way in Jersey and Philly. He was speaking more specifically to Philly, but I think Jersey kind of has a worse problem. Was that he was like, a lot of people in Philly, it's crabs in a barrel because there's limited resources. So everyone the example he used was that if you go to a show in Philly, 99% of the people there are also artists, and they're more so scoping out the competition and the talent more than they are like reinvesting and consuming the art, right? Like just like I'm a fan of this, right? Versus if you go to New York or Chicago or wherever, you might go to a performance and 40% of the people there are also artists, but then there's a 40% of people who are the consumers and the people who are willing to invest and the people who are trying to network after to put you on this opportunity and like whatever the case may be. And he said basically in the Philly area that he's not optimistic for the area because he thinks that is the problem.
I feel as though I feel like social media helped and also damaged the part of socializing in real life with your peers. I feel like that's one of the problems with this, just the area in general. Everybody's doing their own thing. They're worried about themselves, which is not a bad thing. But like when you're trying to come up with a fan base and push your music out there, you kind of need to network with other artists and do songs with other artists, attend other artists' events and things like that. I feel as though that outside of the music, there is no actual culture too. Like there's no real events where like you see like there's nobody performing, there's just music and people are coming out. It's not a club setting. It might be some art, but people are conversing with one another, sharing ideas, and then they go and meet up later on. Like I feel like there's no like, and then the pandemic kind of ruined some of that because I feel like we had kind of that. And like you had places like Open Space and different events that people used to throw where people used to come and socialize with one another and you could touch the people. I feel like artists have lost that aspect. That's one thing. And then in the area, if you're talking about just Jersey, that kind of falls in line with like just talking to like friends of mine that throw events and stuff like that. That's also because we don't have a place where we can do those things. And then when we do get those kind of places, they get shut down by the police. You know what I mean? Like after you have so many people migrate to the same area, and they're of the younger crowd, then the police come by and they're like, oh, well, you know what I mean? You need to hire art people to do security. And then they start to put pressure on people, restrictions on people. And it's like, bro, we're just trying to do art. Like, it's like nothing's really going on here. Like, there's no trouble or anything like that. People are taking the precautions. Like, they might have security and stuff like that there already. Y'all are just trying to, I don't know. Like, I don't want to get into the political aspect of things. I try to stay away from that kind of stuff. But that's a key element. And I feel like in Philly, it's not so much that. Like in Philly, that's why we have to go to Philly to throw events. We have to do shows in Philly and stuff like that. I feel like it's starting to come back now. Like you got John. He's Mir's manager.
Shout out John.
He's doing events and stuff like that. There's a couple people. Chris is doing his own thing too. Shout out Chris again. You know what I mean? Where he's trying to develop some type of culture that has to do with music, but at the same time he's bringing like a vibe where if I have a show, you seen me at Chris's event, you see me at John's event, you might come out and you might not be a rapper. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now you have multiple people there.
Now you're that consumer that
now
is
you're
not,
that consumer because I did the groundwork of popping out, even though I don't really pop out because I be working all the time. But I'm just saying, artists in general, that's what needs to be done. It's not just it's the artists relying on other people like culture pushers. Like they actually push the culture forward. They have nothing to do with making music, but you need that I want to say you need that support from other people that might be in the fashion, they might be in the video, they might be into these different things. I feel like creatives as a whole have to come together.
Have you seen a place other than New Jersey that models the most ideal creative ecosystem?
Atlanta. Not Atlanta now, because it's starting to get like, it's like everybody's famous in Atlanta now. I love Atlanta, but like a couple years ago, Atlanta had that. Like they still have that. Actually, they still have that. It's just it's now it's like it's a popular place to go. So like everybody goes in clubs there. But originally, like you seen art. And artists still do that. Like they'll link up with one another. They'll go to each other's events, and then you have other people that do art and might take pictures and things like that. They do stuff in the creative space, and they'll pop out to events and stuff like that. I feel like they're more tight knit than other places. It's like that Southern hospitality type of thing. But yeah, Atlanta would be one of those places.
I saw someone say that Atlanta is the Black Hollywood. I don't say the Black Hollywood of Hollywood, but Atlanta is like Black Hollywood. Like if you're a Black creative, you're a Black anything, your success is in Atlanta. That's what they said.
I could see that, but Black Hollywood.
That's what they said, Black Hollywood. I also heard about Atlanta that to kind of I guess piggyback off of what you said.
Yeah.
They said, and it's funny you say that, your timing is pretty accurate too, because I heard this about 4 years ago. Is about when I heard it. And they said Atlanta was such a beautiful place creatively and in that regard, because if a new rapper comes out, he'll get a feature from Young Thug, Lil Baby. Like he'll get the features of all the people in Atlanta to like catapult them. Right,
than it is. And I suppose I feel like they're more open to pulling somebody up with them. But I also feel as though that's a cultural thing in Atlanta that should be applied to other places. Like up here, like we could do those things. Some of it, you could say it has to do with ego, but I also think that it also comes from a place of fear as well, like fear to be turned down. Like I can't do it right now, bro. You might, and he's acting bougie. No, I really just can't do it right now. But I'm gonna reach back out. I'm gonna holler at you. You know what I mean? I feel like that also comes from a place of fear. Like a lot of the things that I was able to accomplish was from reaching out to people. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what is different about Atlanta as far as them helping one another too. I mean, we don't have any radio stations in Jersey and things like that. There's other things that you got to look at from a business perspective too. That there isn't any radio stations. We have to rely on going to Philly. That's like everybody that talks about South Jersey. If you want to separate New Jersey, they're like, oh yeah, South Jersey's more like closer to Philly, and we even support their sports teams and all that other shit. And then like North Jersey is more closer to New York, so they act more like New York people, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, nah, that's just, bro.
Bro, every fucking town in South Jersey, if you Google it, says a suburb of Philadelphia.
That's crazy.
Every fucking town in South Jersey, if you Google it, says that. A suburb. Crazy. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? We're not Philadelphia, bro. I guess they probably just do that just to,
It's the closest city. It's the closest big city.
But it's just like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And somebody from Philly wouldn't let us claim Philly. So it's like, not that we want to anyway, but
no. Every time I was in Jersey,
we can't even do that though, because it's like,
Philly.
Bro, we don't want to fucking claim y'all either, bro. It's just like, whatever.
No.
But outside of your network, right? What intangible things are required to achieve the level of success that you've achieved, right? Like what are the things that I don't want to say can't be taught, but you have to be more than just talented at music, right? Like you said, some artists don't have. For when we talk about artists, you said they don't have the human component, right? Like what things, intangible things are required to achieve what you have achieved outside of you just spoke about network.
Discipline. Discipline is probably like number one.
Can you say what realistically discipline might look like to somebody like the average Joe who wants to do what Kenif Muse does?
Showing up every day, coming up with a small goals for yourself, and accomplishing those small goals because they lead up to the bigger goals. What I learned early is coming up with a schedule for myself, even though I'm working for myself, would be like, all right, I wake up in the morning and check my emails, do this, that, and the third. Now we go to the studio. We knock out some personal stuff like my music, and then I'll have sessions for the rest of the day. And the reason why I say discipline is because also doing what I do as far as an engineer, it's a lot of people rely on your timing and you being on time to deliver. So if you have discipline and you have that structure in the beginning, you're able to compete at a high level where I'll have like 6 different projects that I'm working on at once, but it's because I have the discipline and I'm organized from over time that I'm able to accomplish those different things. That would be the first thing. Outside of the discipline is just you gotta be semi-delusional, if that makes any sense. You gotta be delusional and not think how, you gotta believe in yourself before anybody else does. You gotta be able to project that. Because I feel like that's how you gain your respect. Like, oh, you know what I mean? I have, on top of having my discipline and me just working at a high level and then me being talented, I'm also confident. I know how I can move a room on my own. I don't really rely on anybody else to, you know what I mean, to give me that push. I'm pushing myself every day. So it's like having confidence in oneself and being what people would perceive as being delusional. Oh, you can't do that, this and that until you do it. It's crazy until you do it. You know? And look, years ago when I decided that I just wanted to do music, the only 2 people that I'm still friends with to this day, well, I have no choice to be friends with my mom. But she was the one that believed in me wholeheartedly. She's like, if you want to, I remember sitting in my bedroom and I was like, Mom, I think I just want to just solely do music. I don't want to do nothing else. I think I'm going to just quit my job and this, that, and the third. And the only thing that my mom said was, just have a plan. Just have a plan. You go ahead and do it. Have a plan. Just don't be out here just doing anything. Make a plan for yourself.
Can I ask you a question just on that real quick before you continue? What does that do to a kid's confidence when you say that and your mom's response is, I 100% want you to do that, just have a plan? What does that do to you?
I could fly. I'm Superman. I could do whatever I want. Nobody can. If my mom says that, if your parent says that, or somebody that you value their opinion, if they tell you just come up with a plan and I'll support you, it might not be monetary. I mean, you might not be able to monetize that. They might not be able to give you money or anything like that, but they'll push you when they see you down, or when you have those episodes where you really don't know if it's going to work, because that happens. You can't put a price on it. It's the reason why I still do it today. Wow. You know what I mean? It's because of my mom. My mom is the reason why I continue to do that. That and my friend Troy, who I still work with to this day. I met him over a decade ago, and he's one of those people that will call me and check on me and be like, yo, you gotta we gotta finish this, that, and the third. We gotta, because he produces too, and he helps write songs and stuff like that. And he's on my ass more than anything as far as like getting things done as well. But yeah, that's fine, yeah. Bro. Having my mom's support was one of the dopest things. Is one of the dopest things.
That's fire. Now, I have a question for myself that I'm just gonna capitalize on while I have a producer in front of me.
All right.
Bro, what is the difference in I do that a lot where like I start the question and then I revert to what got me to that question and then I ask the question again.
Cool.
I heard Metro Boomin say that there's a difference in like a beat maker versus a producer versus a engineer. Like he's like, those are all different things. When I hear producer, I think you're the person making the music, like you're pressing the buttons and doing the stuff. That's different than what a beat maker is. Or I guess it entails more than what simply a beat maker is. Is that true?
You can be a producer and a beat maker. I feel like beat makers don't make songs. Like they're just, I just come and make the beat and then I'll send you a beat pack and the whole other process is done. Producers, it could, for example, Chris is a producer. He knows how to work like Logic and stuff like that. Like he knows how to do stuff like a little bit of stuff. I don't really know how much stuff he knows how to do as far as making a beat, but he's what you would call a producer. He knows what he wants to make. Mir is a producer. He knows what he wants to accomplish. You know what I mean? You could be a producer, but you don't necessarily have to know how to make beats. But you could still accomplish that same thing. With a beat maker, I feel as though that you're just making the beat and that's it. You don't help with the end process. Like a producer might help write the song. A producer might help write melodies in the background. A producer might actually be sitting behind the beat maker and being like, "Yo, put this here," or they might be doing that themselves. Yeah. You know what I mean? Okay. It's like DJ Khaled. I know he knows how to semi make beats, but he's a producer.
I feel like he just puts the people in the room.
It's a producer.
And says like,
yeah.
Make it happen. Yeah.
Because I could I could sit in a room and I could bring in because
nuts,
because I know so many people. I could bring in a pianist. I can bring in a violin, and a person that brings in drums. This is what I want it to sound like. This is the key that it's in, and this is and that. And I produced the record, but these guys made it.
So a producer can almost be a middleman where like I go get the instrumentalists. I want y'all to make this. I'm then going to take that, what you make, and I'm going to go give it to Kenif Muse, and he's going to make a song with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a producer. That's the difference. Like they could, like I could bring out the best out of everybody in the room, and like Diddy's a producer. That's another person that's a producer.
I am blown away.
Yeah.
Wow. I want to be a producer.
You can. You probably are. You are. You just haven't been put in a setting to come up with something. You have the ideas.
Yeah, at This Side Media, I think Tay and I are producers.
Yeah.
We're basically
technically producers.
Yeah. Wow, bro. I'm getting so many questions answered. This is fun.
Gonna be people commenting like, that's the wrong answer.
Yeah, right. Nah, fuck those people. All right. No, I'm actually not going to ask that, actually. Sorry. That's actually something I didn't want to ask. Before we go, is there anything that the people can look forward to? Is there anything that you have coming up in the future, right? Or something that you're really proud about? We talked about something that I don't know if I'm allowed to say out loud, so.
No. What?
Starts with an M.
Go ahead, man.
This.
Oh, the merch. Yeah. It's coming out. It's coming out. Yeah. It's coming out soon.
Okay,
by the time, well, I don't know whenever this comes out. By the time you come out with this, we probably drop the first ad out, little art piece. I got some visuals coming out for this.
Tough.
But yeah,
tough.
Gotta get y'all laced in it too. For sure.
For sure. Or style it for sure.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this though, because I feel like I should do a better job with this and kind of what we want to accomplish long term. I think is important to get from artists and people that we talk to. For these people who are like, we talk about how Jersey a lot of times lacks the resources, right? So in lacking the resources, you can start to see where like confidence dwindles, momentum dwindles, right? And then it's hard to kind of get over the hump of just like, we live in Jersey, it's just the way it is, right? Whether you're an artist, whether you're a producer, whether you are whatever you are in terms of your content, if you could tell that person who's getting started from New Jersey, right? Coming from the lack of resources. If you can give one piece of advice or one key to success, what would it be?
One thing? One thing. Saying lack of resources. If you've already gotten started, learning how to do things yourself is one of those things. Nobody taught me what I know how to do. I didn't go to school for this or anything like that. I just went and seeked the answers myself. I went out and asked the right questions to people. I went and networked. That was I would say networking and trying to link up with people and ask questions. Don't be scared to ask questions, because it's like that's one of the things that I've always been big on is I don't really care if somebody says no. That's the worst thing they could say. No. Okay. Then I'll go to the next person and I ask them. Trying to learn a lot of things on your own. Like, I learned how to record myself. Then I made a lot of bad decisions, wasted a lot of money that I didn't have at the time. I took risks. I really don't think I could give one. It's not just one thing. You know what I mean? It would be.
Say a few. Say.
It would be have confidence in yourself first. You could utilize so many things like the internet. The internet is your friend. You know what I mean? We have AI and shit. Like
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. You know what I mean? Help you come up with a business plan. It can help you come up with a plan for yourself. Like, look, this is how much money I have. This is my budget. This is the resources I have. I don't know how to record myself, and put that shit in ChatGPT and see what the fuck it says back. You know what I mean? Like, it's the truth. Like, look, I can go on a tangent of like when I was learning how to engineer, and they didn't have that many YouTube videos back then. I'm saying my age by saying that, but they didn't have that many YouTube videos like on how to engineer properly.
So confused.
Relax. They didn't have that many videos. It would be the wrong information. Like, I learned later on, but I was learning. You know what I mean? And I was getting better with time. And then I had people like, because I networked with so many people like Mir, like Ish, like Ant, that let me kind of experiment too. Like, I was experimenting with my sound as well as theirs, taking risks. Like, all right, well, we could do that. I was never scared to get thrown into the hot seat. Like, even my first engineering job when I was working at Grindhouse, I didn't really know what I was doing for real, but I was good. You know what I mean? Because at that time, I had took 2 years before that and was just learning how to do things on my computer, and then figured out, well, all right, well, this kind of sounds good. And then what I've learned was that it sounds better than guys that went to school. So, you know what I mean? Like, it was because I took basically like 2 years, didn't go out, made sacrifices of like, while my friends were going out and spending money on shoes and getting nice clothes, I was like, fuck that. I'm going to go buy this laptop. I'm going to buy this mic. My mom helped me out with a couple things. And I was just like, we're just going to figure it out right here. We're going to figure it out here, and we're just going to lock in. And I'm able to provide for myself off of my passion. And that's by the grace of God and believing in myself first. So I say all that to say it's not one thing, it's multiple things, but first you have to believe in yourself wholeheartedly. Like, you got to be delusional. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, it's not going to work. Oh, this is and that. You know, it's like young guys are just working. This is a young guy sport. Okay, that's nice. But they can't do what I can do. You know what I mean? And I project that. I don't have to say it. It's not on you. It's in you. That's how you gotta, you know?
Kenif Muse.
Thank
it
you,
has been
man.
a pleasure, bro, sitting
Pleasure's
down.
mine, man.
It has been a pleasure, bro. Please plug yourself, all platforms, anything you want to say, anything you want to,
First, go stream Clowns Don't Cry, Mir Fontane. Streets Keep Calling, Kenif Muse. Be on the lookout for my next couple projects. It's a bunch of stuff that's about to come out, man. I know Ish is about to come out with his album. Kev Rogers is about to come out with his project. I got an artist named High Note that I've been working with. He's He's gonna be big. He's gonna be really big. He's from Jersey. Gonna be big.
Tay's gonna get mad at me. We're supposed to end this interview because that's usually how we end. But now I just thought
bad.
something else. I just thought something else, and now I want to, real quick, 2.5. Damn, I just lost it. Don't worry about it. I just lost it. Until next time.
Until next time.
Tay's kind of waving me off anyway. He's kind of like pointing at the
Thank
camera.
y'all for having me, man.
Listen, man. Until next time, y'all. I am your host. My name is Steven. I go by Ugly Steven on Instagram. We want to shout out Vintage Sense, OGBs, and I Robinson, all behind the camera. Until next time, y'all. It is This Side of Jersey podcast, the #1 podcast in the world.